Do you feel stuck in the shadow of their actions, replaying the moments when they hurt you over and over again? Be honest. How often have you found yourself staring at the phone, hoping for a message that never comes, or bargaining with the universe for a shred of acknowledgement? If this sounds familiar, it's time to stop. Today, we're flipping the script. You see, most people get trapped in a dangerous illusion. They think the person who hurt them holds all the power, that without their apology, their regret, or their validation, there's no closure, no healing, no moving on. But that's a lie, isn't it? Deep down, you know it's not true, yet breaking free feels impossible. Why? Because we let the pain control us rather than mastering it. But here's the good news. You're not alone, and you're not powerless. There's a way forward, a way to rise above the wreckage they left behind, a way to reclaim your strength, your peace, and your life. And no, this isn't about revenge or proving anything to them. It's about proving to yourself that you've always had the power. Because, my friend, you do. In this journey, we'll explore 7 transformative steps inspired by Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches resilience, control, and clarity in the face of adversity. These steps will guide you toward the life you deserve, a life where their actions no longer dictate your happiness. From embracing the power of silence to rebuilding yourself 1% at a time, every step is designed to free you from their grip and ignite the strength that's been inside you all along. So are you ready? Are you ready to stop letting their shadow darken your light? Because this is where it ends, right here, right now. Let's begin with the first step, the foundation of your transformation, embracing the rule of 1%. 1. Embrace the rule of 1%. Change. It's a word that carries so much weight. How often have you told yourself that you need to change everything all at once? That if you don't feel like a brand new person by tomorrow, it's all pointless. But let me ask you this. Has that approach ever worked for you? Or has it left you overwhelmed, paralyzed by the sheer size of the mountain in front of you? Let me introduce you to something different, something simple yet profoundly powerful. It's called the rule of 1%. And it's not just a strategy, it's a lifeline. Imagine this. Every single day you focus on one thing, just one, that makes you 1% better than the day before. It could be as small as getting out of bed when you don't feel like it, or choosing not to let their name cross your mind for an hour. Maybe it's putting down your phone and spending 5 minutes writing about what you're grateful for. Small, right? But here's the secret: small steps compound. Over time, they lead to massive transformation. Think about it. If you improve by just 1% every day, do you know where you'll be in a year? 37 times better than where you started. Let that sink in. Not 10% better, not 20%, 37 times better. That's the power of small, consistent effort. But let's not just talk about numbers. Let's talk about what this really means for you. Because I know there are days when 1% feels impossible. Days when the weight of what they did whispers in your ear, telling you to stay down, to give up, to let it all crumble. Those are the days that matter most. Those are the days when 1% isn't just progress, it's survival. It's strength. It's a declaration that they don't get to win. Here's a question for you. What does 1% look like for you today? Is it finally deleting their number? Saying no to one thing that drains your energy? Reminding yourself, just once, that you don't need their validation? Whatever it is, commit to it. And then tomorrow, commit to it again. One step, one choice. One victory at a time. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what the rule of 1% is all about. It's about focusing on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, and letting go of everything else. You can't control what they did. You can't control whether they regret it or not. But you can control how you rise. And here's the beauty of it. This isn't just about healing. It's about becoming someone they can't even recognize anymore. Imagine that for a moment. Picture the version of you that's 37 times stronger, more confident, more focused on your own power. Picture the day when their memory doesn't even sting anymore because you've risen so high they can't touch you. That's where you're headed. But it starts here. It starts with 1%. So what's your 1% today? Write it down. Commit to it. And if you're ready to take that first step, comment below. 1% better every day. Let the world know, but more importantly, let yourself know. Because this isn't just a mantra, it's your truth. It's your path to freedom. Remember, they thought they hurt you. They thought they broke you. But they didn't realize that all they did was give you the fire to climb higher. And 1% at a time, you will. Are you ready to rise? Let's move forward. The next step is waiting. 2. Silence is your crown. Let me ask you something. What's the loudest sound you've ever heard? Was it a scream, a crashing wave, or maybe thunder rumbling through the sky? Whatever it was, let me tell you this. There's a sound even louder, even more powerful, and it doesn't make a single noise. That sound is silence. But silence isn't easy, is it? No. It's tempting to react, to respond, to say something, anything, to make them see your pain, to make them understand what they did to you. You've been there, haven't you? Feeling the pull, the almost irresistible urge to send that one last message, to defend yourself, to get the last word. And let me guess, every time you did, it didn't give you peace. It gave them power. Let me be brutally honest with you. That stops today. Your silence isn't weakness. It's not retreat. It's power. It's a crown you wear to reclaim your dignity and control. It's a boundary that says, I don't owe you my time, my energy, or my voice. And that silence, it roars. It's louder than any argument, any explanation, any angry outburst. It's a weapon they can't deflect, a mirror they can't avoid. But here's the kicker, they're not ready for it. Not one bit. People like them thrive on your reactions. They poke and prod just to see how far they can push you. They throw pebbles into your pond to watch the ripples. But what happens when the pond goes still? When the surface refuses to move? That's when they lose control. That's when they drown in their own emptiness. Silence is terrifying to them. It forces them to sit with themselves, to face the emptiness they've been avoiding by keeping you tangled in their game. And here's the thing, they don't want to sit with themselves. That's why they need you to react. Your anger, your tears, even your pleading, all of it fuels them. They thrive on it. And when you stop giving it to them, they crumble. But this isn't just about them. It's about you. Let's focus on you for a moment. Why is silence so hard? Because it feels like surrender, doesn't it? Like giving up. But let me ask you this. What do you gain by breaking your silence? Do you really think they'll suddenly understand? That they'll apologize and mean it? That they'll magically transform into the person you wanted them to be? Deep down, you know the answer. You've always known. Breaking your silence doesn't hurt them, it feeds them. It leaves you weaker every single time. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Your silence is you taking back that power. It's you saying, I refuse to let you disturb my peace. Because every second you stay silent, you're building something they can't touch, a life without them. Imagine this, they're sitting there scrolling through their phone expecting your name to pop up. It always does, right? You've always been the safety net, the fallback plan, the warm blanket when the world got too cold for them. But now there's nothing. No texts, no calls, no voice on the other end of the line. Just silence. And that silence, it doesn't whisper, it screams. It says you don't matter anymore. You don't have power here. You've lost. And let me tell you something, they'll feel it. Every second they wait for a response that never comes, every moment they sit in the void of your absence, they'll feel it. And the best part, you don't have to lift a finger. Here's the truth about silence. It's not just what it does to them, it's what it does for you. Silence gives you space to breathe, to heal, to reflect. It's a boundary, a fortress, a declaration that says, I choose myself over the chaos you bring. And let me tell you, my friend, that's the most powerful choice you'll ever make. But I know what you're thinking. What if they don't notice? What if they don't care? Let me be clear. It doesn't matter. This isn't about them anymore. This is about you. Whether they notice or not is irrelevant because your silence isn't for them, it's for you. It's your way of reclaiming the energy you've been giving away for far too long. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're holding a torch, and every word you speak to them is a spark of fuel that keeps their fire alive. Every argument, every plea, every tear, it's all just kindling for their ego. But when you stop, when you hold your silence like the crown it is, their fire burns out. They're left in the cold, staring at the ashes of a flame they thought would last forever. That's what silence does. It extinguishes their power. And in the process, it gives you something far greater: peace. So, what are you going to do with this silence? Are you going to let it strengthen you, rebuild you, transform you? Or will you fall back into the trap of giving them what they don't deserve? The choice is yours. But let me remind you of this. Every moment of silence is a moment of freedom, a step closer to the life you're meant to live. It's not revenge. It's not spite. It's self-respect. Take a moment to feel that, to own it. And if you're ready to claim your silence, comment below. My silence is my crown. Let the world know. Let yourself know. Because this isn't just a statement, it's your truth. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video if this message resonates with you. Hit that like button right now and comment number 1 if you're ready to rise above their noise and embrace the power of silence. Subscribe to this channel for more content that fuels your growth, your strength, and your transformation. Because this journey, we're just getting started. Let's move forward together. 3. Shatter the illusion of need. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do I feel like I need them? Be honest with that question. Is it because they made you feel special at some point, or because you've convinced yourself that without them, something essential is missing? Whatever the reason, here's the truth you might not want to hear. You don't need them. You never did. But let's dig into that feeling of need. It's not about logic, is it? It's about emotion, memory, and the illusions they carefully constructed. They sold you a story, didn't they? A fantasy where they were the answer to your questions, the solution to your doubts, the missing piece to your puzzle. And you believed it. You held on to it so tightly that it began to feel like fact. But let me ask you, was that story real, or was it something that used to control you? Here's where it gets hard to admit. Most of the time, what we think we need isn't the person themselves, but the comfort of the illusion they created. They made you believe that without their validation, you were less lovable, less worthy, less whole. And you let them convince you because deep down, some part of you wanted to believe it. Some part of you was already questioning your own worth before they even stepped into the picture. But let's get something straight. That's not your fault. It's not a flaw to crave connection, to want to be seen and valued. What's flawed is how they twisted that craving into something they could exploit. They didn't nurture your need, they fed it, amplified it, made it into a weapon they could wield against you. And the more you believed in their story, the more power they had over you. But here's the beautiful part. Their power is nothing but smoke. And smoke, it vanishes the moment you open a window and let in the truth. So let's look at the truth, shall we? Did they really complete you? Did their presence truly fill a hole in your life? Or did they create the illusion of that hole in the first place? Think back to the times they made you feel small, made you question yourself, made you work for their attention and approval. Was that the kind of love you needed? Or was it the kind of manipulation you tolerated because you thought it was better than being alone? Here's a metaphor you. Imagine you're holding onto a rope. It's frayed, thin, cutting into your hands. But you're gripping it because you think it's the only thing keeping you from falling. And then someone comes along and tells you to let go. Your first reaction, panic. If I let go, I'll fall. I'll lose everything. But what if instead of falling, you realize you were never hanging over a cliff at all? What if, when you let go, you find solid ground beneath your feet? That's what the illusion of need is, a rope you don't have to hold on to anymore. Letting go doesn't mean losing yourself. It means finding out that you were whole all along. Stoicism teaches us that our sense of need often comes from wanting what we don't truly lack. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Apply that here. The less you want from them, the wealthier you become. Because what they offered you wasn't wealth, it was poverty disguised as riches. They made you dependent on their scraps of attention, their conditional love, their fleeting moments of kindness. But you don't have to live like that anymore. Look around you. What's missing from your life without them? Is it really their presence, or is it the illusion they created, the comfort of believing they were essential? Because let me tell you something, they weren't essential. What you needed wasn't them. What you needed was the belief that you were enough without them. Here's another question. When did you start believing you weren't enough? Was it before they came into your life? Or did they plant that seed themselves? Maybe they chipped away at your confidence little by little, making you feel like you had to earn their affection. Or maybe they walked into a space that was already wounded and exploited it for their own gain. Either way, the result was the same. You ended up thinking you needed them to feel whole. But the truth is, you were never a puzzle waiting to be completed. You were always enough. And now, it's time to shatter the illusion of need piece by piece, until there's nothing left but the truth. And the truth is this: you don't need their approval to feel worthy. You don't need their love to feel complete. You don't need their validation to feel seen. What you need is to reclaim your power, the power you gave away when you believed their story over your own. Here's a final metaphor for you. Picture a bird sitting in an open cage. The door is wide open, but the bird doesn't fly because it's forgotten how. It sits there, convinced it can't make it out there on its own, even though freedom is just a flap of its wings away. That bird, it's you. And the cage, it's the illusion of need. The only thing keeping you inside is the belief that you can't survive without them. But you can. You always could. And the moment you see that, the moment you trust your own wings, the cage stops being a prison and becomes nothing more than a memory. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I don't need? And then let it go. Let go of the illusion. Let go of the rope. Step out of the cage. Because freedom doesn't come from them, it comes from you. And the moment you claim it, they lose the power they never deserved in the first place. They thought you needed them. They thought you'd always be there, waiting, clinging to the fantasy they created. But now they'll see the truth. The truth that you were never the one who needed them. They were the ones who needed you. And they'll feel the weight of that realization every time they reach for you and find nothing but empty air. Shatter the illusion. Step into your power. Because the only thing you've ever truly needed was already yours. Yourself. 4. Live like they never existed. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the version of you before they came into your life. The version that wasn't tied to their games, their manipulation, their drama. What did that person look like? Who were you before they started rewriting your story? Now imagine this. A life where their presence no longer holds any weight, where their actions, their words, their very existence is nothing more than a faint memory. Can you see it? That's your goal. Not revenge, not proving anything to them, but living like they never existed. Why is this so powerful? Because it's the ultimate freedom. When you live like they never existed, you take back the narrative of your life. You stop carrying their baggage. You stop letting the scars they left define who you are. And most importantly, you stop wasting your precious energy on someone who doesn't deserve it. You don't erase the memories. They happened and they shaped you. But you strip those memories of their power. You decide they don't matter anymore. Now let me ask you, why haven't you already done this? What's holding you back? Is it the hope that they'll come back? That they'll realize what they lost? Is it the fear of what life will look like without the illusion of their presence? Or maybe it's that little whisper in the back of your mind asking, what if I can't move on? Here's the truth. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without feeling the weight. It means reclaiming your strength, your joy, your peace, and leaving them behind in the process. When you live like they never existed, you're not erasing the past. You're choosing to stop letting it control your future. But let's be real. That's easier said than done, isn't it? Letting go of someone who hurt you deeply feels like giving up a part of yourself. It feels like losing. But ask yourself this: who's really losing? Is it you, the person who's finally stepping out of their shadow? Or is it them, the one who lost access to your love, your light, your energy? Living like they never existed isn't about denial. It's about growth. It's about refusing to let their absence be a wound that never heals. Think about it. How often do you replay their words, their actions, their betrayal? How much space in your mind have they taken up, even after they've gone? And more importantly, what could you accomplish if you stopped giving them that space? Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where that power comes into play. You can't change what they did, you can't undo the past, but you can absolutely decide that it doesn't matter anymore, that their chapter in your life is over. Let's flip the narrative for a moment. Imagine what they think. They probably believe they've left a mark on you, don't they? That their absence is this gaping hole you'll never fill. They imagine you sitting there replaying every word they ever said, every moment you spent together, as if their presence is tattooed on your soul. That's their delusion. The truth. The only reason they think they've left such a lasting impression is because you've been letting them believe it. And now that stops. From this moment forward, you live like they never existed. What does that mean? It means rebuilding yourself so fully, so unapologetically, that the version of you they knew becomes unrecognizable. It means choosing to focus on what they tried to dim, your goals, your passions, your joy, and turning those things into the brightest parts of your life. It means waking up each day with the intention of moving forward, one step at a time, until you built a life so beautiful they wouldn't even recognize it. Let me give you a metaphor. Picture yourself walking around with a stone in your shoe. At first, it's just a small discomfort, something you can ignore. But the longer you walk, the more it hurts, doesn't it? It slows you down, distracts you, makes every step more painful than it needs to be. And then finally you stop. You take off your shoe, you remove the stone. Sure, your foot might still ache for a while, but eventually you realize how much easier it is to move forward without it. They were the stone. And now it's time to take it out. Still not convinced? Let me ask you this. Where were they when you needed someone to lift you up? Where were they when you felt small, when you doubted yourself, when you just needed someone to see you? Were they there, truly there, or were they only around when it served their own needs? Because people like them don't stay when it's hard. They don't stay when it requires effort or sacrifice. And yet, here you are, still giving them space in your mind, as if they were ever the kind of person who deserved it. It's time to change that. Living like they never existed means choosing to see yourself without the filter of their influence. It means remembering who you were before they entered your life and imagining who you can be without them. Because the truth is, they didn't make you. They didn't shape your destiny. They were a chapter, not the whole damn book. Close the chapter. Burn the page. Start writing a story that doesn't include them. But how do you do that? It's simple, though not easy. You stop giving them space. Every time they creep into your mind, you shut the door. You redirect your focus to the things that bring you peace, joy, and fulfillment. You rebuild yourself piece by piece until there's no room left for their shadow. And in the process, you rise. You rise so high they can't even see you anymore. When you live like they never existed, you strip them of all their power. They can't come back into your life because there's no space for them anymore. They can't hurt you because their actions no longer define you. You've turned the lights out, locked the door, and moved so far beyond them that they're nothing more than a faint memory in the distance. This isn't about revenge. It's not about proving anything to them. It's about freedom, the kind of freedom that comes from finally letting go. It's about waking up in the morning and realizing that your first thought isn't about them. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I built this, I am this. I don't need them. And if this resonates with you, if you're ready to take this step, I want you to do something right now. Hit that like button and comment number 1 to let the world know you're stepping into your power. Subscribe to this channel so we can continue this journey together, growing stronger every day, one step at a time. Because this isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning. And the next chapter, it's going to be extraordinary. 5. Pain is your power. Let's talk about pain. It's the one thing no one wants to feel, but everyone does. It creeps in uninvited, hits you in places you thought were untouchable, and lingers longer than you ever expected. But here's the real question. What are you going to do with it? Because pain is inevitable, but how you use it, that's what sets you apart. When they hurt you, they thought they were breaking you, didn't they? They imagined you would crumble, trapped in the wreckage of what they did, replaying every moment, every word, every betrayal like a broken record. And for a while, maybe they were right. Maybe you did feel like you were shattered into a million pieces. But here's the truth they never saw coming. Pain doesn't just destroy, it transforms. And when you take control of it, pain becomes power. But let's back up for a second. What does pain feel like for you? Is it that ache in your chest when you think of what they did? Is it the sleepless nights, the endless questions, the moments you feel like you're drowning? All of that is real and all of it hurts. But let me tell you something else. Pain is proof. Proof that you're alive, proof that you're capable of feeling deeply, proof that you're still fighting. And that fight, that's where your strength is born. Stoicism teaches us that adversity doesn't define us, it reveals us. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your pain, as unbearable as it might feel right now, is not a barrier. It's a bridge. It's not the weight that holds you down. It's the fire that will forge you into someone stronger than you ever thought possible. Think about it. What if this pain, instead of being the thing that breaks you, becomes the thing that builds you? What if every tear you cried, every sleepless night, every ache in your chest is not a sign of weakness, but the very fuel that will drive your transformation? Because that's exactly what it is, fuel. Raw, untamed, and incredibly powerful. All it needs is for you to harness it. Let me give you a metaphor. Pain is like fire. Left uncontrolled, it consumes everything in its path, leaving nothing but ashes. But when you take control of it, when you channel it, that same fire becomes your forge. It becomes the heat that hardens you, reshapes you, and turns you into something unbreakable. This isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. This isn't the end, it's a transformation. But here's the catch. Transformation doesn't happen passively. You can't sit in your pain and expect it to change you. You have to use it. You have to decide that this pain, this raw and relentless energy belongs to you now. It's not theirs anymore. They don't get to own the hurt they caused you. It's yours. And what you do with it, that's where your power lies. Still not sure how to use it? Start by asking yourself one question. What am I going to do with this pain? Not why did this happen, or how could they do this? Those questions are a waste of your time and you know it. The answers won't change anything. But asking what now, that's the question that turns pain into power. Maybe what now means setting boundaries you've never set before. Maybe it means focusing on the parts of yourself they tried to diminish, your confidence, your joy, your sense of purpose. Maybe it means pursuing something you've been putting off, not despite the pain, but because of it. Whatever it looks like, the point is this: you don't let the pain define you, you define the pain. And let me be clear, this isn't about pretending the pain isn't there. It's not about plastering a fake smile on your face and acting like everything's fine. It's about facing the pain head on, acknowledging it, and choosing to make it work for you instead of against you. It's about seeing the pain for what it really is: a tool, a teacher, a catalyst for growth. Think of every great transformation you've ever seen. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fires. The tallest trees grow in the harshest conditions. And the most resilient people, They are shaped by pain, not because they avoid it, but because they embrace it. They use it. They let it sharpen them, strengthen them, make them unstoppable. And that's what you're doing right now, whether you realize it or not. Every time you choose to get out of bed when it feels impossible, every time you refuse to let their name cross your lips, every time you take one small step toward rebuilding your life, you're turning pain into power. You're proving little by little that they didn't win, that they didn't break you, that they simply handed you the fuel you needed to rise. But let me ask you one more question. What do you want them to remember about you? Do you want them to remember someone who stayed stuck in the pain they caused, someone who kept replaying their actions, someone who let them live rent-free in their mind? Or do you want them to remember someone who rose so far above their chaos that they couldn't even reach you anymore? Someone who turned the very pain they caused into a crown of strength. Because here's the truth. They thought this pain would tether you to them forever. They thought it would keep you bound to the memory of what they did. But they were wrong. This pain isn't your prison, it's your liberation. It's not the thing that holds you back. It's the thing that sets you free. So, every time that ache in your chest resurfaces, every time a memory of what they did tries to crawl back into your mind, remind yourself, this isn't weakness. This is power. This is fire. And this fire, it's yours now. Yours to control, yours to channel, yours to use. They hurt you. They thought they broke you. But all they did was give you the one thing they never expected, the power to become untouchable. And the best part, they'll never understand it. They'll never understand how the pain they caused became the very thing that made you unstoppable. But you will. You'll feel it in every step you take, every choice you make, every piece of the life you rebuild. This pain is your power. Own it. Live it. And let it remind you every single day that the person they hurt no longer exists. What's left is someone they can never touch again. 6. Turn off the lights. Picture this. They think you're still waiting for their call, their text, their apology, their explanation. They assume you've left the door open, kept the lights on, and are sitting there in the glow of what once was, hoping they'll return. That's how they see you. A constant and always available backup plan. A warm little safety net they can fall back on when the world turns cold for them. But here's the truth they're not ready for. The lights are out. This time you're not waiting. You're not holding space for someone who didn't value what you brought to their life. The glow they took for granted is gone, and now they're about to stumble around in the dark, wondering what happened. That's the beauty of turning off the lights. It's not about punishing them, it's about reclaiming your energy. It's about realizing that your warmth, your love, your light were never meant to be used and discarded like some utility they could flick on and off at will. Here's the question. How often did they treat you like an option, like something that was just there for them whenever they needed it? How often did they bask in the glow of your love, your effort, your energy, without ever stopping to think about how much it cost you to keep shining for them? Did they ever stop to ask how you felt? Or did they just assume your light was something they were entitled to? Let me tell you something. They were never entitled to your light. They didn't respect it, didn't nurture it, and didn't even notice when it started to dim under the weight of their selfishness. And now, it's time to stop giving it to them. It's time to flip the switch, close the door, and let them feel the coldness of your absence. But let me ask you this. Are you ready for what turning off the lights really means? Because it's not just about cutting them off. It's about breaking a pattern. A pattern where you've let your love, your kindness, and your energy be taken for granted. A pattern where you've kept giving and giving, even when you weren't receiving anything in return. Turning off the lights is about saying no more being their fallback plan. No more waiting for them to notice your worth. No more allowing them to dim your light just because they couldn't handle its brilliance. This is about self-respect, about preserving your energy for people who deserve it, not people who treat it like an afterthought. And I know what you're thinking. What if they don't notice? What if they don't care? Let me be blunt, it doesn't matter. This isn't about whether they notice. It's not about whether they miss you regret their actions, or try to come back. This is about you, about making the decision to stop shining for someone who never truly appreciated your light in the first place. Let me give you a metaphor. Think of yourself as a lighthouse standing tall, shining bright, guiding lost ships to safety. But there's one ship, one reckless, self-centered ship, that keeps crashing into the rocks, ignoring your light, disrespecting your purpose. At some point, you have to ask yourself, am I shining for the right reasons, or am I wasting my energy on a ship that refuses to learn? The answer is clear. You stop shining for them. You conserve your energy for those who will value it, those who will navigate toward it with care and respect. And for the ship that refused to learn, let it sail off into the dark. Let it figure out on its own what it lost. Because here's the thing, when the lights go out, that's when they start to realize what they took for granted. People like them, who thrive on your attention, your energy, your reactions, don't know what to do with silence. They'll poke, prod, and try to provoke you, hoping to pull you back into their orbit. But when you stay off the grid, when you refuse to respond, that's when they feel the full weight of what they've lost. But let's not focus on them anymore. This isn't about them, it's about you. Turning off the lights isn't about making them suffer. It's about making yourself whole again. It's about realizing that your love, your energy, your light are sacred, not something to be used and discarded. It's about saying, I deserve better, and I'm done settling for less. And here's the truth. The right people, the ones who truly value you, will never make you feel like you have to dim your light to fit into their world. They'll celebrate your brilliance, nurture it, and shine alongside you. That's the kind of connection you deserve, the kind that lifts you up, not the kind that drains you. So how do you turn off the lights? You stop giving them space in your mind, in your heart, in your life. You stop keeping the door open for someone who doesn't respect what's inside. You close that door, lock it, and walk away. And no, it's not easy. It takes strength, it takes clarity, and it takes a deep belief in your own worth. But once you do it, once you stop shining for them, you'll realize something incredible. Your light shines brighter when it's for you. They'll feel the coldness of your absence. They'll sit there, scrolling through their phone, waiting for a text or call that never comes. They'll wonder why the door is closed, why the lights are out, why you're no longer there to catch them when they fall. And you'll be too busy thriving to care. This isn't about spite. It's not about revenge. It's about freedom. Freedom from the grip they had on your energy, your time, your heart. And every moment you stay silent, every day you refuse to let them back in, you're choosing yourself. You're choosing to save your light for the people who truly deserve it. So are you ready to turn off the lights? Are you ready to reclaim your energy, your love, your life? If you are, then let's make it official. Hit that like button and comment number 1 to declare that you're done shining for people who don't deserve your light. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We're just getting started on this journey of growth and transformation, and I can't wait to see how brightly you shine. 7. The beginning of your rebirth. This is where it all changes. The pain, the betrayal, the doubts, they've all led you here to this moment. You might feel like you've been standing in the wreckage of what they left behind, looking at the pieces of your old self scattered on the ground, wondering how you'll ever put them back together. But what if I told you that you don't have to put the old pieces back? What if I told you that this isn't about rebuilding what was broken, but about creating something entirely new? This isn't the end, it's the beginning of your rebirth. Think about it. Every storm you've survived, every tear you've cried, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, it wasn't breaking you. It was reshaping you. It was stripping away everything that wasn't meant to last, everything that wasn't truly you. What's left now is raw, unrefined, and waiting to be transformed. And that transformation, that's the part they never saw coming. Rebirth doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened or erasing the scars they left behind. It means looking at those scars, those memories, and deciding that they don't define you. They're just chapters in your story, chapters that lead to the most important one yet, the chapter where you rise, But let's be honest, rebirth isn't easy. It's messy, uncomfortable, and at times it feels impossible. There will be days when the weight of what they did still lingers in the back of your mind, whispering doubts into your ear. There will be moments when you're tempted to go back, to let them back in, to give them one more chance. And in those moments, you'll have to remind yourself, the person you're becoming doesn't live in their shadow anymore. So who is this new version of you? Who do you want to be? Because that's the beauty of rebirth. You get to decide. You get to take all the lessons, all the strength, all the resilience you've gained from this pain, and use it to create a version of yourself they never expected. A version that's untouchable, unshakable, and completely free. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What color are your thoughts painting right now? Are they painting a picture of someone still trapped in the past, still defined by what they did to you? Or are they painting the image of someone who's rising above it all, someone who's taking the pain and using it to fuel their growth? Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine you're a phoenix standing in the ashes of what once was. The fire burned everything to the ground, your hopes, your expectations, your trust. But those ashes, they're not the end. They're the beginning. Because from those ashes, you're about to rise. And when you do, you won't be the same as before. You'll be stronger, brighter, and more powerful than ever. But how do you start? Rebirth isn't about grand gestures or dramatic changes overnight. It's about small, intentional steps. It's about waking up each day and choosing to move forward, even when it feels impossible. It's about taking the pain they caused and using it as a tool, a reminder of what you'll never allow again. It's about reclaiming your power, one choice at a time. Start by focusing on yourself. What brings you joy? What lights you up? What dreams have you been putting on hold because you were too busy pouring your energy into someone who didn't deserve it? Now is the time to chase those dreams, to rebuild your life in a way that honors who you are and what you deserve. And let's be clear, this isn't about proving anything to them. It's not about showing them what they lost or making them regret what they did. Because the truth is, they're not the main character in your story anymore. You are. Your rebirth isn't about them, it's about you. It's about reclaiming your narrative and writing a story that's entirely your own. Think of every step you take as a brick in the foundation of your new life. Every boundary you set, every toxic habit you let go of, every moment you choose yourself over their memory, it's all building something stronger, something unbreakable. And one day you'll look back at this moment, at the ashes you're rising from, and you'll realize it was the beginning of something extraordinary. Here's the truth they never expected you to discover. They didn't break you. They simply set the stage for your transformation. They thought they'd left you in ruins, but all they did was clear the way for something far greater than they could ever comprehend. And when they look back, when they think of you, they'll realize that the person they tried to destroy no longer exists. What's left is someone they can never reach again. This rebirth is your gift to yourself. It's your chance to step into a version of you that's stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever. And as you rise, let the memory of what they did fade into the background. Not because it didn't matter, but because it no longer controls you. So stand tall. Look at the ashes beneath your feet and know that they're not your end, they're your beginning. You are a phoenix, and this is your moment to rise. They thought they hurt you. They thought they broke you. But all they did was give you the fire you needed to become untouchable. This is the beginning of your rebirth. Embrace it, live it, and let it remind you every day that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And here you are, standing at the edge of something extraordinary. Everything they did to hurt you, every tear, every ache, every silent scream, it led you here, to this moment of transformation. You faced the pain, shattered the illusions, reclaimed your power, and now you're ready to rise. Not as the person they tried to break, but as someone they'll never reach again. They thought they left you shattered. They thought they'd won. But what they didn't see is that every moment of pain they caused became the very foundation of your strength. They didn't break you, they forged you. And now you've taken everything they thought would destroy you and turned it into something they'll never understand. Freedom. Freedom from their control. Freedom from their shadow. Freedom to live a life that's fully, unapologetically yours. You see, this isn't just about surviving what they did. This is about thriving because of it. It's about stepping into a new chapter where you're the one holding the pen, writing a story that has no room for their chaos, their games, or their manipulation. This is your story now, one of resilience, growth, and unstoppable strength. But let's be clear. This isn't about them anymore. It's not about making them regret what they lost or proving anything to anyone. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I did this. I rebuilt myself. I reclaimed my life. And I don't need anyone's permission to shine. This is the essence of Stoicism, isn't it? To take what life throws at you, not with despair, but with determination. To see adversity not as a curse, but as a teacher. To rise above the things you can't control and focus entirely on the power you've always had within you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And that's what you've done here. You've chosen to rise not in anger but in grace, not to spite them but to honor yourself. And as you move forward, remember this. The person they hurt is gone. What's left is someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient than they'll ever know. Every step you take away from their shadow is a step closer to the life you were always meant to live, a life filled with peace, joy, and purpose. So take a deep breath and let this be your final declaration. They hurt me, but they'll never hurt me again. Say it, believe it, and live it every single day. Let it guide you as you rise higher than you ever thought possible. And if this journey has resonated with you, let's keep it going. Like this video if you found strength in these words, and comment number 1 if you're ready to claim your power. Subscribe to this channel for more content that inspires, motivates, and helps you rise above the noise. This community is here for you, every step of the way. Because this isn't the end of your story. This is just the beginning. And trust me, the best is yet to come. You've already won. Now, it's time to live like it. Thank you for being here, for choosing yourself, and for letting your light shine. You're unstoppable, and the world is waiting for the incredible person you're becoming. Go claim it.